Thank you. Let's see, where are we? We'll take it into committee. Councilor Perks, Councilor Parker, Councilor Grimes, Councilor Layton. So far. So, Councilor Perks.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First of all, I have a couple of motions. My first motion is that in the event that motion B by Councillor Layton fails, the removal of existing bike lanes on Pharmacy Avenue from Denton Avenue to Alvinston Road should occur only after alternate cycling routes are completed. Motion 2, in the event that motion C by Councillor Layton fails, the removal of existing bike lanes on Birchmount Road from Kingston Road to St. Clair Avenue East should only occur after alternate cycling routes are completed. And motion 3, that City Council implement bike lanes on both directions on Bloor Street between Keele Street and Dundas Avenue in 2011. Just very quickly, when you see Councillor Layton's motions, you'll understand that he's trying to prevent the removal of those two lanes. If those fail, my notion is that before we remove them, something else should replace them so cyclists in Scarborough are not losing what little infrastructure they have. Bloor, the reason that I feel confident in doing that is that we did an avenue study in that area, in my ward, and part of the work that the community did, and it was 500 members of the community participated, was to put a bike lane in there. It would connect the West End rail path to High Park, which is a very important link. We held off on doing it previously because we were waiting for the Bloor Danforth EA, and if that's not going forward, we should just go ahead and put the link in. I want to speak now broadly about the proposal that we have in front of us. There have been comments that there's some good and there's some bad, all true, but I want to say on balance, I really got to hand it to you, Mr. Chair, or perhaps I'm handing it to the Mayor, or maybe I should hand it to Ms. Adrienne Batra. You guys have done a remarkable job at persuading people that there's something to be excited about today if you're a cyclist. I'm awed. I mean, you've managed to convince us that no means yes, that less is more, that we should spending more and getting less is an efficiency. You've managed to convince us that 2 in the bush is worth 1 in the hand, and you've just done a great job. Let me explain what I mean by that.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. If the proposals that are before us go forward, we will, for the very first time since we approved the bike plan, have a year where the bike network shrinks. And we're supposed to feel that that's good for cyclists. That's a remarkable accomplishment in communications. You should be proud of yourself. We've managed to convince ourselves, if we do what's in here, that spending $250,000 to achieve this remarkable result of shrinking the bike network is an efficient use of taxpayers' dollars. We also seem to have had this strange circumstance where taking bike lanes out is good for traffic, even though city staff say that cyclists are traffic. I don't really know how you accomplish that. We also had an opportunity where, even though both the chair of this committee and the mayor of Toronto voted against separated bike lanes, the only time council has ever considered them, that by bringing us a study that may or may not yield separated bike lanes someday, is somehow an improvement. I mean, having an actual separated bike lane, something we could have had right now, that would have been wrong. But having a study that considers some, that's right. It's great work. Additionally, we were persuaded, if you read the newspapers, that the mayor's plan brings us 100 kilometers of new trails. Well, you heard from city staff that almost everything in those new trails was something that City Council had already approved even before we were elected, you and I, Mr. Chair. It's a remarkable accomplishment in communications. So, to be serious though, if we are going to accommodate a growing city, if we are going to make sure that Councillor Berardinetti's residents don't live without access to good services, we're only going to be able to do that if we build an infrastructure that fits the 21st century. And an infrastructure that fits the 21st century is one that supports a mix of transportation modes. Not at its current rate, not with its current modal split, but overwhelmingly favors those modes which are sustainable. And I want to be clear what I mean when I use the word sustainable. If it's sustainable, it's something we can afford to keep on doing. If it's unsustainable, it's something that cannot last. And automobile-dependent neighborhoods cannot last. Every reasonable person knows this. Every reasonable person knows we are going to run short of fossil fuels. Every reasonable person knows that we need to improve our air quality. Every reasonable person knows that in order to prevent climate change, we have to dramatically reduce the amount of energy we use to move ourselves and our goods around. Every reasonable person knows that to prepare for that future, we should be building pedestrian, cycling, and transit infrastructure as fast as we can. And that's why, in places like Germany, the #1 way that people travel in the suburbs is to take their bicycle to the commuter rail station and take a train downtown. That's the most common mode. Thank you.